Now we're gonna talk something about placement groups. Okay. So what for example, we are provisioning 20 server for we are deploying one particular application, and for one particular application we need to have 20 servers, or maybe 5 servers, we can say. Okay.
Okay.
So 5 servers if we are provisioning, but we want all those 5 servers to provision closely. Okay, like we want to have the high network bandwidth with each other, because so many read and write operations are being required to be performed. Okay, or maybe those servers are required to be in sync in terms of exchanging the data. So that's what we want to have here. So for that we have the placement group. So what placement group will do? Placement will group will be used to control over the EC2 instance placement strategy. Okay,
Yeah.
so placement groups are used to control over the EC2 instance placement strategy. So basically, 3 strategies can be defined in placement groups. Okay, the one is there are 3 types of placement groups. The one is cluster placement group. Second one is spread placement group. Third one is partition placement group. Okay, basically, see, in organizations, I hardly believe you will be able to find people are using placement groups. Okay, they may use or they may not, but you will be able to find in interviews people used to ask about this. What are placement groups? Okay, so from that perspective, we are. It is important to understand. Okay, so there are 3 types of placement group: cluster, spread, and partition. Let me share my screen. I will show you something. Okay, yeah. I hope you are able to see.
Yes, I can see.
Okay. So in cluster placement group, basically what happened, all your EC2 instances are being placed in same rack. Okay. Like in your data center, you have one rack and all your EC2 instances are in the same rack. So if they are in the same rack, they will have great network connectivity, right? It will be used for the application which are needing low latency. Okay. So
Yes.
like if these instances are required to be keep in sync because they are closely placed and within the same connected with the same switch or routers, then it will provide you great network connectivity. But can you think of the disadvantage of it?
Mm, no, I don't know.
Okay. If this rack got fail due to some power issue or due to some hardware failure, what will happen?
All instances, because all instances are the same rail, all instances are gonna be effective because of that thing.
Right. All instances will get impacted. Okay. So it
Yes.
means your application will get completely down. So this is one of the disadvantage of cluster placement group. Now let me talk about the spread placement group. In the spread placement group, what happen is all the EC2 instances are being placed into different hardware. Okay. Like one is on one hardware number one, hardware 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Different hardware. So here what will happen? If one hardware goes down, only one instance will get down. Okay, other instances will be keep running on. If there is some network outage, okay, we are considering here 3 availability zones, 1A, 1B, 1C. So if there is some network connectivity with one particular availability zone, okay, only like if we look into this particular picture, only 2 seems to be getting affected, others will keep serving the traffic. Okay, so here it provides us more flexibility in terms of failure. But here, the network connectivity will be not good in comparison to the cluster placement group.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other one is it is limited to 7 instances in one availability zone in one placement group. If we create one placement group, okay, so in one particular availability zone, we can have 7 instances only. Okay, that is the cons of this particular one. So here we used for the applications which are required to have high availability. Okay, and critical applications we can deploy here, okay, which are required to be isolated. So this is your spread placement group. If we talk about the any questions till now?
No, I got it. I'm gonna search
Oh,
more about that.
okay. Next is partition placement
Okay.
group. Okay. In partition placement group, here we create the partitions. Okay. What we do, we create the partitions. So in one particular partitions, while we are provisioning the EC2 instances, we used to provision some voices coming up from your side in between. Okay.
Not sure why.
Yeah. Some unknowing, like, don't know, very weird sort of voice is coming up in between of that.
Let me just put my headphones. Maybe that works. Just hold on one
Yeah,
second.
sure. Okay. So next is your partition placement group. And in partition placement group, what we used to do is we used to create the partitions. So for example, there are 4 instances or 5 instances. Okay. We are required to create in like a cluster placement group. Okay. So all those instances we can put in one particular partition. Okay. Now different applications are also being there, okay, which we want to get them combined, okay, into another rack. Partitions are just similar to your rack. Okay. So those instances we can put into the different partition, and different partitions we can create, and different EC2s we can club accordingly. So here, in case if one partition got failed, what will happen? Only the EC2 instances which falls under this particular partition will be impacted. The other partitions will be there, which will be keep serving the traffic. So if the hardware failure happen, it will happen for one particular partition only. Okay, other partitions, the EC2 instances which are on the other partitions, they will be keep serving the traffic for your application. Okay, so this is how your partition placement group is. And here also we have up to 7 partitions. What we can do in one placement group, we can create up to 7 partitions in one availability zone. Okay, so this is how your partition placement group is. If you have any questions, please let me know. Then I will show you in the AWS console.
No, I got it. I think
Okay,
I'm good.
that looks good. Let me show you how it is. Okay, so here, for example, okay, before launching an EC2 instance, what I will do, I will go here in EC2 AM. Okay, here we are in the placement groups. Okay, in the left it is in network and security. I will create placement group. So I will give it a name as cluster. Okay, placement strategy is cluster. If you want to give it a tag, you can give it a tag. And I will say create a group. So now cluster placement group is created. This is your group ID. Similarly, I will click on placement group, and here I will say spread placement group. I'll go here spread, okay, and I will click on create group. I'm fine. Now similarly here I'll go and I will say partition placement group. Here we need to create the partitions. So it is asking how many partitions, up to 7 partitions we can create, okay, in one placement group, in one each. So here I will go, I'll say for example 3 partitions. I will go and say create group. So now 3 placement groups I have created: cluster, partition, and spread. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll just go here to EC2 instance. I will click on launch instance. And once I click on launch instance, here I'll go, I will say like EC2. I'm just giving it a random name, placement group. Okay. So any operating system you can choose. You can choose which AMI you want to use, instance type 2.micro, key pair name, morning, like morning we are using security group, we can use any one of them. Here we go, we say web server, GP2 or GP3. Here I'll go to advanced details. And once I go to here we have something that is being known as placement group. Okay. So now if I go to placement group, here it is showing me 3 placement groups you have used. So now what I can do, if I want, this is a one instance, right? Okay. So I want my EC2 instances to launch in cluster placement group. Okay, what I can do, maybe here I can say 5. Okay, for example, 5 EC2 instances I'm launching. So all those 5 EC2 instances will get launched into this cluster placement group which I got created. It means all the EC2 instances will be in the same rack. Okay, all 5 EC2 instances. Now, next is if I want to create into partition placement group, like let's talk about spread first. In spread placement group. So in spread placement group, what will happen? All 5 EC2 instances will have different hardware. Okay, into the
Okay.
backend of into the backend, or maybe we can say in the data center of AWS. So it will be on the different hardware. If I just go, if I say partition, so now if ask me like 5 instances I want, so I want all 5 in partition number 1. Again, when I will launch another EC2 instance, okay, then at that moment of time, I can say maybe next time I will say I'm provisioning 3 EC2 instances. So I can have those in partition number 2. Okay, so this way, what we can do, we can use the placement group and we can create our EC2 instances. So this is how we can place our EC2 instances effectively in the data center of AWS. That is the use case of placement group. If you have any questions, please let me know.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, I believe we are good for today then. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
All right.